guys. Coming up next, we have a show match featuring Trump, Amaz, and our current world champion in Hearthstone, Firebat. Casting this, we have none other than Frodan and Kriparian. Guys, take it away.
Appreciate the kind words. Welcome, everybody, to the Foundry from San Francisco. This is the announcement for the Grand Tournament. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Kriparian, all the way from Toronto. Krip, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I'm actually really amazed at the turnout here. There's just an enormous crowd, and they're all so excited to hear the news, as they should be. I mean, it's really exciting. We got a little bit of a peek of the new cards, and there's quite a bit left. The decks that Trump, Amaz, and Firebat will be playing with, they were designed by Blizzard, and they have a few more hidden gems that we'll perhaps get to see here in a moment.
That's right. We had 6 cards revealed in the announcement by Eric Dodds, but we have a pretty good bundle here to show you guys today through 3 classes. The way it's going to break down is we have a best of 3 single deck format for all 3 of the players. What classes will they each be playing?
Okay, so just before that, the players have had their decks designed by Blizzard. So these aren't like, Trump's bringing his best or whatever. This is in the name of fun. We want to show you guys what great players can do with the new mechanics with Inspire and with how each of the classes kind of interact with their hero power now that they interact with the cards themselves directly. Trump will be playing Mage. He'll be up first against Amaz. Amaz will be playing Shaman.
That's right. And
the winner of the best of 3 in that will face off again in a best of 3 against Firebat, which of course is playing Hunter.
That's right. The world champion going to be playing Hunter. He did it last year. He'll do it this year. So hope you guys can enjoy that. And I think some people are really interested to see how good are some of these cards. We do have Lock and Load ready in that Hunter deck with that interesting card where if you play it for 2 mana, every spell you play thereafter gives you a random Hunter card. We'll see how applicable it is for now, but I think people are really starting to theory craft a lot. This excitement is so high because as soon as people were seeing card after card, they're starting to theory craft, like, what can I do with this card? I can hero power as many times as I want as a mage. What does that allow me to do?
Well, a lot of stuff. Some of the cards that we saw, you have Maiden of the Lake, you have the Kaldar Drake. You can hero power 10 different things on your turn if you have 10 mana. So the combinations immediately are really powerful. But with so many cards to come, I think we actually saw 7 cards, but it's 7 out of 130. So really the most interesting thing is to see, kind of guess at, how the picture of the game will look after these are released. And I think we have a really good taste today.
That's right. So the first match that we'll have is the Mage vs. Shaman of Trump versus Amaz. Again, it's the best 3. They're only playing 1 deck, so we'll get to see what these guys can do a couple of times. Sometimes they'll draw interesting combinations. Maybe it doesn't work out the way they do, but they get to try again. And I'm really curious to see how they're able to weave in the Inspire mechanic. That's really what I'm paying attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. And as cards are released more and more in each expansion, of course, you tend to play a game where you play on mana curve, and the hero power only becomes like, I have nothing to do, so I will hero power. But now with the mechanic of the cards directly involving your hero power, you'll have an active use of hero power, and the class that you choose, suddenly will have a completely different type of game.
That's right. What's interesting, too, about the Inspire mechanics is you already saw one of those interesting cards, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. But usually hero powering is a sign of bad news.
Right.
It's like, well, I have to use this because I have no other options, or
inefficiency.
I lose some of the important tempo of like my momentum coming into the game. But in this scenario, it felt very cool that Blizzard was going to focus on it, especially since some of those cards, they felt like it required some setup, right? You need to play it. You need to be able to get some time to gather it so your strategy can work out over the course of multiple turns as opposed to trying to make something happen right here, right now.
Exactly. And from what we saw already, the Lowly Squire, now we have 2 Squires on 1 mana. The Lowly Squire, you can play him on turn 1, and you can use your hero power to basically deal with any 2-drop. So he substitutes for a 2-drop, and maybe you can get a little bit out of control. Oh, we have some new cards here in Amaz's hand.
We have something called the Totem Golem, although I can't see the description of it. Go ahead and pull it up. The Totem Golem apparently is a 2-mana 3/4 minion that has an overload of 1. So a lot of people criticize early game drops.
And it's a totem.
Oh, it counts as a totem. There you go. It's also from the Totem Tribe.
The Totem Tribe. All right. Yeah, that's obviously a great 2-drop. I mean, with GVG we had a 3-mana 3/4 neutral card, and that really blew people away. Now we have it on 2 mana with Shaman. Shaman just keeps getting just amazingly powerful threats on mana curve.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people often feel like Shaman struggles when they don't have the ability to seize the board early, and that's going to be a very key card to handle rush decks. So I'm looking forward to it. But already an interesting choice. We have the Kodo Rider, which Inspire summons a 3/5 War Kodo. So every time, Crib, you use a hero power, you get a 3/5 Kodo.
So this is basically like a card that's a must-kill on the board.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously you'd want to save it until you can hero power, otherwise this may be a bit too vulnerable, so it's kind of like a turn 8 play. It's certainly a win more card, but maybe you can tempo out with protecting it with some cheap taunt creature, something like that.
You know what's really great is one thing that I know a player who's very well known for analyzing cards, maybe getting a little salty, is Raynat. He always talks about how it's really important to be able to have win conditions that aren't 9 mana, 10 mana. You can have cards. Grim Patron was one of them. In this case, Kodo Rider is another way for decks to have lower curve win conditions.
Yeah, and it's also neutral.
Oh, wait, hold on. We have Effigy Secret.
What was that?
When a friendly minion dies, summon a random minion with the same cost. Now that is interesting too, because that has the same effect as Recombobulator. Is that not?
Yeah, it is. It is a Recombobular effect, but it also triggers kind of like Duplicate. So, what can you really expect?
I don't know, man. At this point, I think anything can happen because with a random minion, you're able to go outside the classes once again, which feels like Mage's specialty at this point. You have Unstable Portal, you have Effigy, and now it's like you can pull any card from any deck in Hearthstone, basically.
Yeah, cards that work well with the Recombobulator are often ones that have a lot of value in their Battle Cry effect, and in other cases when they are kind of like Giants, when they have cost reduction. So cost reduction cards are going to work really well with Effigy.
Oh my goodness! We have, wait. Okay, so this card, the Fallen Hero, improves the Mage Hero power to 2 damage, making it like the Hunter Hero power when it has the Storm Wheel Needle Sniper, as well as the
Steam Wheel Sniper.
The Steam Wheel Sniper as well.
That's right. But considering you, as a Mage, you can get off 10 hero powers on the same turn, this card maybe is a little stronger than it seems.
Right. It goes with the Dragon.
And this is one of those things you have to keep in mind. Like, what we're seeing today is just a slice of what the tournament has. It's not going to be too many of 130 cards, I'd imagine, but we'll see.
Yeah, because now we have to understand that in context, things change a lot when you get to see the 130 cards as a whole batch. It's certainly really interesting to see how Fallen Hero can combo not only with the Dragon, but also the Maiden of the Lake, which now reduced the hero power to 1 mana. There's just so many combinations that we're looking at. Another one, a new card here.
No, that's the... Oh, that isn't the Rhino.
It is. And forgive, Crip and I, we actually have tried to opt to not look at some of these
Yeah, we have no idea what we're about to see.
This is... Okay, so this is...
It's the Thunder Bluff
Valiant.
That's right. It's a 5 mana 3/6 with Inspire that gives all your totem plus 2 attack. And that's not 2 attack until end of turn. That's just 2 attack. That's a permanent effect.
Yes. Similar to how Quartermaster buffs Silverhand recruits indefinitely. And so this gives an opportunity for shamans who can exercise board control.
Right, but that's every time you summon a totem.
Ah.
And you have cards that count as totems, like the 2 mana 3/4 from earlier.
You're right.
You can buff that as well.
Wait, we have another totem interaction card. I saw it. The Tuskar Totemic summons any random totem out there, whether your hero power or you get the Vitality Totem, Flame Totem, or the new card. The new card is also a totem as well.
Yeah. So any refers to the hero power one. Normally, cards that produce a random creature of something don't include, hero powers.
Yeah.
But in this case, it does, and that's kind of hinted from the any word there.
This is fascinating because now not only am I curious to see the effect of the Tuskar Totem, but I'm also seeing what other totems might be coming out in the set here, because that also creates a lot of diversity for the Shaman class.
Wow. Well, Trump can draw a bunch of cards, and I'm hoping he does that because I want to see some new stuff. There we go.
I think so. Although it looks like
another Koldara Drake.
He can set up some Koldara Drake and combine it with that Fallen Hero and get some really nasty board control, because Shaman doesn't have many removal options in their hands right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's 2 damage hero power. It's like weird when you see it for the first time.
It's glowing too.
It's like, whoa, that hero power did 1 damage too much.
Yep. Well, Manaside Totem, very much the same thing. That's another random totem that can be summoned off of
the Tuskar Totemic. That's right. And Tuskar Totemic is a 3 mana 3/2, while generally your hero power is often worth let's say 1.5 mana, that's still kind of good. It's a pretty powerful card.
All right, I read here that they gave us some notes on the cards individually. They said that there are 8 different totems you can summon, the 4 basic ones from the hero power and the 4 collectible.
Okay.
Wait, a 0 mana Nexus Champion Sarad.
How did that happen?
Wait, is that right? 0 mana. That's a pretty good value, I would say. A 0
I'd
mana
say
4/5.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention that you can hero power as much as you want right afterwards.
Oh yeah, that's true. With Koldara Drake, he can hero power many times during his next turn. Really, the nuts is going to be as if he draws a Maiden of the Lake, making his hero power 1 mana, and then filling his hand with random spells.
Okay. Seems like he has opted instead. Otherwise, Frost Giant finally comes into hand, and we see that it costs 8 mana to allow him to play it this turn. Remember, Frost Giant costs 1 less mana for each time you use your hero power this game.
It's also kind of a fun card. I feel it's one of those guess cards. Like, I wonder how many times I use hero power this turn. I think it's 7.
Yeah. And, it's interesting, too, because it's one of those things that require planning a lot over the game.
Yeah. All right. Well, Amaz opts to get a 3/5 with his totem for 2 mana. That's pretty good value, but I have a suspicion that card is not going to make it through his next turn.
Yeah, I would say it's a high priority removal indeed. Although, I'm curious, is there any additional things to that Kodo at all? Any stats, any tribes, any effects you think?
No, I don't believe so. We can see that it's an original art, so it's not like the Hungry Kodo that eats up 2 or less attack minions. I believe it's just strictly a 3/5, but a 3/5 does a pretty good job of cleaning up.
Yep. All right, so it looks like we're gonna. Well, this is where we normally see Sarad be able to add a spell to the hand, but I suppose right now even Hearthstone wants to keep it a mystery. It's not. They don't want us to spoil everything just yet, Crypt.
Yeah. I'm not actually sure what's happening.
Yeah. So my anticipation is potentially that the card here just may have misregistered. But
okay.
We can just flip POVs. Not a big deal.
There he is.
It actually happened.
He's right there.
Yeah, it definitely happened. It was
and Amaz got one of his own.
And Mage seemed to have picked up Wrath from the Druid class and Mirror Image.
And Mirror Image, that's right.
Those are 2 cards that aren't very useful, but Wrath can be pretty versatile in this.
Right. So Amaz can do a Sarad totem play. He can create a totem with the Totemic, but if you play Sarad, you definitely want a hero power in the same turn.
Okay.
A lot of these minions are... Oh, wow. I would say that's
a 1 mana fireball to the face.
Maybe. It's a very educational card, I heard.
Yes.
You learn a lot about the game.
Oh yeah, the one time you learn about it is probably the last time that you'll ever have to learn.
All right, well, we do get to see all the spells that were produced that we didn't see earlier. We have the Wrath, we have the Mirror Image, as you mentioned. I just want to see some hero powers fly, really.
I think there should be a gentleman's agreement to just hero power and leave each other's Sarads up from this point on. That's what I would like to see, because I think
just to
wacky scenarios.
Explore what's in the game right now.
Yeah, I say why wait for the Cholin video in 6 months? Let's have it today.
Yeah.
All right, 1 spell here.
Thought Steal.
As if he needs more cards.
Yeah, he's not
don't belong to him.
He's not going to be able to play that out this turn too well.
Mass Dispel. Now, remember, the Drake allows him to hero power as much as possible, and thank goodness that they finally start keeping track of where those cards originate from, because I would not be able to keep up.
Well, that Eye for an Eye might yet... Oh, nope. He does go for the ping face.
Wow, he plays
just in case it's Eye for an Eye. I believe it could have been Repentance.
It could have been Repentance. And he has Savagery, which it only clogs his hand, so he's going to go ahead and use it.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and drop that.
You know what? I have to say that was a pretty impressive turn from Trump. You know, that was a little complicated with how things ended up panning out, but he started to recognize the situation and adapted to it accordingly.
Well, we really do get to see the strength of some of these cards. While the new Legendary hasn't produced too many crazy spells yet, the Dragon certainly has had quite a bit of fun. Multiple hero powers a turn, the Koldara Drake. It's also interesting, being a dragon, it adds to the tribe. Wow.
You know, it's flashy, but there's still a big threat on the board. remember, you can hero power as much as you want as the mage.
That's right.
If he draws May in the Lake, that means next turn he can effectively wipe the board effortlessly.
Well, with Amaz dropping more than 5 health worth of stuff this turn, hero power is not going to deal with it. Trump's going to have to use some of his actual cards. But he's going to get some more.
That's right. Well, I guess right now it's just it's a kid in a candy store. What does Trump want at this point?
I think he wants some more spells.
All right. Let's start it off here. Cone of Cold. Wow, well that's
a pretty good
I
acquisition.
mean, he already has the big brother of Cone of Cold with Blizzard.
That's right.
And that's smart too. He doesn't want to get too greedy because you can overfill the hand with spells by hero powering and maximizing the effect, but you burn the card as well.
Yeah, these cards that have a lot of hand interaction are also very complicated to play because it's very difficult to anticipate how you'll play them in the next few turns.
Yes.
You know, when you're dealing with just your one turn now, it kind of makes sense. But when you want to consider what you'll do next turn and the turn after that, it allows for some really high-level play.
All right, well, Amaz is going to dig deep in his deck. We saw another card there that we didn't see prior to that.
Yeah, that is the Draenei Totem Carver.
Oh, say that 5 times fast.
No, just the one will do. Just the one. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 the battle card to get +1/+1 for each friendly totem. And there are 8 totems, apparently.
Right.
So that can get quite a big buff. You can have only one of each of the hero power totems out, unless you like panda them back or do something crazy like that.
Right.
But you can have as many as you want, the other ones. So ultimately, this is kind of like Frostwolf Warlord.
Right. Just gains a buff on.
Yeah, but playing it on 4 is really nice. So.
Understood. Understood. Well, I mean, Amaz might not get a chance to because there's a lot of damage to come the other way. And it looks like he drew his Neptulon at the moment. And Neptulon is really cool because it gives you a lot of cards and refills your hand, but does he have enough time to do something like that?
All right. Well, that's Lightning Storm.
That's really effective again.
I didn't know Lightning Storm was a 0-attack, 0-health creature.
You know, desperate times calls for desperate measures, and Shaman needs a little bit of help, and Blizzard's answered the call.
Whoa! We didn't talk about that feature, but so what's going on here?
Well, I think Shaman is in big trouble, Crib.
He is in big trouble, but he's going to have a pretty big Draenei Totem Carver coming up.
Assuming he can live that long. Oh, but he did manage to wipe the board, though, with that Lightning Storm, which was key. But that card advantage, and that's what something like the Sarad can do. It can generate the card advantage in situations where it's really tight. You never know if you draw the one removal piece for a big creature, and then you end up having it survive, and it brings you back into the game.
Yeah, one of the win conditions when you're playing a control deck against anything but a combo deck is just drawing or creating a lot of cards, because that makes it so you just are very unlikely to win because you haven't answered anything played.
That's going to be really useful. The Emperor Thorson reduces a full hand like that.
I heard that card is pretty good.
It's rather effective if used in a full hand, especially when you have cards that draw more cards to give you more synergy with it as well.
All right. Well, those are some pretty good Murlocs. Small ones and a War Leader is really as good as you can hope for.
Do you think if he has such a full hand that even Cold Light Oracle wouldn't be bad? Because sometimes you don't really want Cold Light Oracle because you help your opponent draw. There's so many cards, though. I feel like he wouldn't be mad at that either.
All throughout this time, I'm still thinking about that Effigy Secret, you know? I feel it's really strong with some of the cards that are just about good enough these days. Like even Belcher.
Yeah, remember, it can be pulled by Mad Scientist. So it even gives you some more tempo with whatever you play following, so you can have something stick on the board.
Yeah, it's instantaneous. It's not like Duplicate. Duplicate, you invest for later, but Effigy happens right now. So if you have these creatures with multiple abilities or battle cries or death rattle effects, you kind of get that little bit of extra on your investment.
Oh, man. That is a full hand Thorson. Can Shaman begin to push, though, because he does control the strongest minion on the board?
Yeah, you're right. Trump is not going to be able to get another board clear unless he draws into it like immediately, I think.
Second Blizzard.
Yeah, it has to be another Blizzard or something from the Arcane Intellect. Maybe there's a Flame Strike in the deck. The players know what's in their decks, but we have no idea.
Oh, but I do believe that this is where cards like the Dragon might even be useful, because Normally, oh, okay. Well, in this case, he can't really do it because you end up going for a face. I like that attack. It's very sharp by Amaz. He says, I'm not going to win by trying to make you play the card advantage game. I'm just going to try to rush you while I can.
All right. Well, I'm still looking at that Thought Steal. I'm still looking at that Arcane Intellect. I want to see what's in these decks, basically.
Trump,
I don't care about that. We've seen most of the other cards.
I think Trump was also counting on possibilities of, following turn lethals or whatnot, but I only count maximum of 10 damage this turn if he silences everything he pushes.
All right. Well, looks like he wants to stall a little bit.
Doesn't have a direct answer to some of this. He just draws...
He gets a Thunder Buff Valiant and the... was that the 3/4 totem with
Totem Golem, right? Where
Totem Golem.
It's a minion, but that's something interesting too. When you're talking about stealing cards, a lot of people always think about stealing cards that don't help them, like Shield Slam when you have a class that has no armor. I guess Shaman gets a little buff against cards that try to steal against them.
I think my favorite card so far is the Totem Golem. It just looks like such a cool little dude.
Yeah, he's pretty fierce. His face is on fire. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And here comes the War Leader for some beatings.
How much damage can he maximum do this turn?
No, it's not quite enough. It just looks like the 11. He'd go through with the 4/2 and the 7/7 if he wanted.
Yes, it seems to be that case here. Unless... Can he set up for a 2-turn lethal as well, being able to push for a win next turn?
Perhaps. You kind of want to clear the board a little bit to play more Murlocs to make your Murlocs bigger. But besides that creature, you kind of don't want to lose any of them.
This is really tough because, again, these are like new cards, so you have to be worried about the timing of it. If you hero power normally to test for what you get, then the Lowly Squire doesn't get the buff, but the longer the Lowly Squire stays in the hand, it gets weaker. Okay, so he loads up a full board, even heals up some of his totems, making it better for...
Yeah, that's a very good heal totem.
Yep.
Frostbolt, not quite enough.
Could have used that last turn to potentially win.
Well, what do we have here?
We have a handful of
It's normally hard to guess when you have like 10 discounted cards to begin with, but now we have 10 discounted cards, including new cards, including priest cards.
Yep.
And we had some other shaman cards earlier. There's another effigy.
Yeah.
And again, the creature on the board is a great target for it.
That's true. It's a 5-mana minion.
It's a 5-mana 3/3, so when it dies, you get an actual minion, and you took advantage of the battle cry already.
Right. Generally speaking, that might turn into an average of 5 attack, 5 health-ish around there.
Yeah, there's always decimals in those, but yeah, I have no idea what they are.
I just rounded up.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is an answer to the Neptulon by frostbolting it,
right,
giving him one more turn.
So Neptulon goes down, a lot of the damage is down now. And the Totem Golem.
That's right, and that's why it's friendly totems only. Otherwise, if you got buffed by all totems, this game can get pretty out of hand quickly. Another Kodo Rider.
That's a great spot for it. What I think Amaz is really looking forward to is, let me try to get the name here. It's that Thunderbluff Valiant. And we know there's one left in the deck because I believe Trump Thought Stole it. So the Inspire effect is to give your totems +2 attack. He's got a lot of silenced totems. This is often a problem when you're trying to play as many minions as you can each turn, because they just take up dead space.
That's a good point. You know, sometimes the totems can be completely nullified of an impact, especially like taunt totems, for example. You silence that, you can never get the taunt totem again until it dies. And then we can finally have an opportunity to buff those totems to fight back.
The funniest thing is, Trump now has the Caldara Drake, and he also has the Thunderbolt, and he also has a totem, the Totem Golem.
That's right.
So if he develops those creatures, he can actually buff his existing totem by 10 attack.
Oh, he gets the Taunt Totem too. That can be pretty critical to protect his. It's a 7/7.
Yeah, looks pretty powerful. I like how a lot of these cards are really powerful in certain situations, but if you compare it to, Frostwolf Warlord, Frostwolf's a powerful card, but, it's not, like, super overpowered.
Mage is out of cards, by the way.
Oh, how about that?
And Amaz was calculating this in potentially the way he can kill his opponent if he starts taking fatigue damage as well.
Interesting. Well, that's probably why the Arcane Intellect stayed in the hand so long.
That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
So what Trump has in his hand is all he has to work with, but it is pretty powerful, assuming it can work out the way it is. He has that combo of Maiden the Lake and the Dragon, which is, you know, the most appealing combo, but not always.
It's just that 7/7 is so threatening right now.
Yes. Especially because he doesn't have a way to directly remove it, as far as I see.
I think one of the most interesting plays might be the Sneeds, just because it's such a gamble for Amaz to kill it. But if Amaz does kill it, it still can be a big problem.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, in this scenario, Trump can only ping once with his hero power, but the next turn, if the Maiden survives, might have an opportunity. And this game's got him so back and forth here. This is exactly what the Shaman wants to do in this position, because it can finally draw into some cards that exercises board control. Although it's missing that really important key card that you were talking about.
Yeah, the buff the totems.
Yes.
If there was some totem buffing going on, he'd still be 2 damage short of lethal.
He would be, but he's going to try to fight for board by just using the Kodo Rider.
Yeah, this just sets up a massive threat on the board.
Taunt Totem. It's pretty awesome here.
I think Amaz is just trying to stall out as long as he can. He knows that if he wasn't dead last turn, nothing new is going to kill him this turn.
Yeah.
Because there's no more draws.
His opponent had 7
right.
damage on board. Could he have used like Fireball to kill him? And I believe that Amaz is also familiar with Trump's deck in its entirety. We didn't want these players to be thrown out in the dark completely. Be like, well, I have to play around 700 cards. I'll be familiar with the 30 cards.
So the players are far more familiar with the decks than just about everyone else, actually.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if Trump was anticipating that Amaz would go the Fatigue Shaman route, but this is what the game has come to at this point, and now he has to adapt. But I don't know how much he can fight for the board if that keeps spawning 3/5.
No, it's not. His totem gets buffed here. See? Bam! 5 damage.
Oh, that's right.
So Trump can stall it as well, but the problem is that he's the one that's taking fatigue damage that keeps ramping on up.
So he's the one on the clock.
And the funny thing is, Effigy is particularly awful right now. In fact, Duplicate seemed pretty good. But he couldn't play as long.
I think he valued board so that he can get as much time as possible to end it.
So here comes Maiden of the Lake. Of course, the Maiden of the Lake ability does not stack. It sets your hero power to 1, making it so you don't have an infinite damage combo with the Koldara Drake.
No. Well, I think Amaz really wanted to value the Taunt Totem as well. It's a good point, though. The hero power is only 1. It can't be reduced to 0 as far as we know.
Yeah, so far from the cards that we've seen, the only new infinite damage combo is Sorcerer Apprentice, Lock and Load, and get Arcane Shot every single time.
Yep. Arcane Shot, Arcane Shot,
Right.
Arcane Shot.
It can happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to happen sometime.
Off of a Pilot Shredder, it's very realistic.
Yeah.
Because the Pilot Shredder can drop that Sorcerer's Apprentice. All right, Sneeds comes on the board here, and Effigy almost ensures that something will stick onto the board. And I have a hard time finding what Amaz in 1 card can do to turn it around.
That does not seem like it can do enough.
Certainly not, considering that he needs to buff the totems and not draw off of it. And I think Amaz realizes what time it is. Trump managed to take a very nail-biting game here and be able to wrap up the first game with a win.
Trump comes 1 game closer to attempting to defeat the Hunter of the World Champion Firebat.
Right. You know, it feels appropriate having Hunter as the final boss. But
look how excited they are after seeing just some of the play of some of the cards that are yet to be introduced.
That's right. That's right. It's best of 3, though, guys. So there's an opportunity for Amaz to climb back. And I think a lot of people want to see Shaman finally be able to make its comeback because it gets a really bad reputation of being a weak class currently in the competitive metagame.
Well, it did lose.
Well, it lost, but I think it showed some promise here, like where you can build the board. Because right now, again, these are pre-made decks, and we get to see some of the cool synergies. But I think as you develop Shaman more, I'm really excited to see what can continue to come out from all these totem buffs, all these board-centric strategies. Yeah,
the Shaman in that game almost had it. Amaz was playing the key cards that get out of control, but it just seemed that they were being played in a position where he was a bit too far behind for them to stick on the board more than the first turn. And that's really the winning situation that needs to develop, and it didn't quite make it there. Trump is playing a similar game, but it seems like without his deck kind of works a little bit better without that much of a requirement.
How much of an impact was the Sarad staying alive for multiple turns, being able to draw 4 or 5 different spells? Do you think that was the key factor in influencing it? Because it seemed like Trump had a million resources up against Amaz.
Right, so Trump's deck seems to be a little bit slower, a little bit more controlling, and it may have a hard time finding that lethal. So getting that a bit of extra help really worked for him. But it really only worked for him because he had control of the game at that stage. So if those tables were turned, Amaz would have just had a board full of Kodos. And it was basically the same thing.
Sure. Well, maybe this game will turn around if he has an opportunity to seize the board.
Totem Golem.
Cards. Totem Golem.
Totem Golem.
Look at that. His head's on fire.
Oh, that guy's so awesome.
Yeah. I love some of the art, too, just in general stuff. Like, I really want to see the new pirate captain in action. We haven't seen it just yet, but
one thing I haven't paid attention to is the new game board. I don't know if the players are interacting with that, but I don't believe we see that in spectator mode. Perhaps they're stealing all the fun.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit of that too, just clicking on some of the stuff. I heard you can like shoot arrows at the target.
Well, here comes Lowly Squire, and Lowly Squire, if you have no 2-drop, is pretty good. You can basically upgrade him to a 2/2.
Yes.
But I think the Totem Golem is going to do a better job, and perhaps to follow that, because he's going to be overloaded on turn 3 with 2 mana, play a Golem.
That's right. So
play a Totem.
It gives him more options because normally the overload prevents you from being able to play out the next turn optimally, but you finally have a backup option. Amaz instead chooses to go for a hero power, and that allows him to buff the board while still being able to build it a little bit.
All right. Trump has a Mad Scientist, which I think Hearthstone players know is a reasonable play for turn 2.
And that Frost Giant gives Amaz even more incentive to hero power as the time goes.
Frost Giant is a very interesting card that we were talking about how, it kind of fits in some decks, but maybe not really.
Yeah.
Oh, Totem Golem.
Look at that. So he opted to pass his turn and get another Totem Golem anyways without activating the Overload charge.
Pretty good stuff.
It's amazing.
So we have the Totem Golem, we have the Mana Tide, we have the Vitality Totem, we have the Flame Tide. I guess those are the 4 castable totems at this stage. Maybe there'll be more.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to see if we have more, but look at that aggressive strategy. Amaz not even willing to protect his 3/2 minion, opting to force his opponent into an awkward trade.
Well, he did see that Trump kind of struggled to clear his board in the previous game. Trump had the Blizzard, he had the Cone of Cold, but that doesn't actually do that much damage, and that is, much further on in the game.
Now, Mane in the Lake here is played similar to the Oasis Snapjaw in the sense, just like a lot of board control early on to fight the early low curve minions.
Yeah, the Oasis Snapjaw, surprisingly to some, they might be surprised to know that's actually an okay card, like in Arena. Wow!
Oh, that is classic Amaz.
Totem Golem, boys.
He came to play.
He came to play indeed.
He came to win.
Well, this Maid in the Lake is not going to do much. In general, a Snapjaw or a Maid in the Lake often does okay. Let's see what effigy pops out. Wow, that's terrible.
Not exactly what he was looking for. He was hoping for something that could fight back on board more aggressively, but it still ends up trading for a couple minions on board.
And it's still reasonable value. Like he invested 3 mana in the effigy, if you think about it. And for 3 mana to get a 2/5, that's a Druid of the Flame.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. There's definitely worse 4-drops out there, too.
Right.
If you get, like, Baron Rivendare, it's a 1/7. Like, what are you going to do with that card against an onslaught of 3/4s? Sneasel Shredder.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to have to hope for if he can live that long.
Yeah, there's no way it would, though. Oh, Loot Hoarder would have been pretty decent, too.
Okay. Well, Trump ends up going for more card advantage, but I don't know if Amaz is planning on taking the slow at all, because he's about to drop his 3rd Totem Golem this game.
Maybe more to come.
Not to mention that Lowly Squire gets buffed again. This is starting to snowball a little bit. I can sense some aggressive shaman strategies coming out, perhaps in the next couple of months when this drops.
Amaz plays a little bit more in... Oh, he doesn't because he has the Heal Totem. I was thinking he plays a little bit more into Blizzard, but he doesn't need to because it's only 5 mana. And again, he has the Heal Totem, which makes it so he has a very strong board position. Zerg... Oh, my... That's next turn.
That's right.
So this turn we absolutely cannot overload, so we're basically playing nothing, I suppose.
Well, yeah. Although it is the best to drop that minion just for the tempo, but at the same time, you know what's really interesting too is that your board gets a little too full, so you have to be careful to manage your board from expanding too much, otherwise you can't hero power.
Right, right. I kind of like hero power here. Hero power makes the Squire into a 4/2, and with the 1/1 totem, it trades fairly well.
That's a good point.
You kind of want to keep the totems, but yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Also,
you're going to lose some.
Something to consider too is Shaman already is a class that wants to manipulate the type of totems that they get. So you have to think, do I want to trade the totem in first and then hero power, or do I want to hero power and then trade it in? These kinds of strategies is what makes people love the class.
Well, just if you guys are wondering, Amaz has 5 totems on board.
That's right.
And the Thunderbluff Valiant in hand. Oh, no.
Okay.
Can't do it anymore next turn.
Well, I guess originally he was going to try to go for that Savage Roar type
Right.
play, but in this case, he says, you have to have a Blizzard or else I'm just going to kill you anyways.
Well, I think he's actually... Oh, he does have lethal. He does have lethal. He has 1 over lethal on the
He
board
has
state.
13 damage, and that should wrap it up. I don't believe Trump has any way to survive unless Amaz, for some reason, gets bluffed out of his mind here by that secret play. And I can't imagine it happening. There it is. Shaman takes a game, Crip, and evens up the series.
It's really Totem Golem that took the game.
Don't mind it. A victory lap with the Lightning Storm, and you're right. 3 Totem Golems surviving since the first. I mean, look, none of them died. They all survived.
They all survived. I'm really liking this this new creature archetype. I mean, a lot of the existing tribes in Hearthstone are like kind of good. They just need a few more cards. Totem kind of works because there's already totems in the game for Shaman, and you can manipulate how many you want on the board at any given time, so they don't need as many. On the other hand, with the new cards coming out, we've already seen Mage receive a new Dragon, so maybe Dragon Mage becomes more of a thing.
Sure.
And the possibilities as cards are introduced just gets wider and wider.
What about the Pirate, right? We didn't see the Pirate in action just yet.
Not yet.
But maybe we see Pirate decks become more of a viable thing. I don't know. We're starting to see a few cards. Maybe he's not the only Pirate. We'll have to see in the upcoming 130 cards that'll be released in the upcoming month, which is, again, really exciting to see how these archetypes are going to flesh out when the new Grand Tournament expansion comes.
Yeah, and it's, well, it's going to be a very interesting month. I mean, next month is not that far away, and
well, it's in 8 or 9 days. Last time I checked, it's been the beginning of August.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be quite that early, but even still, even in the worst case scenario,
that's when Blizzard customer starts being a little worn down because people are like, it's August 1st. What do you mean the Grand Tournament's not out?
I mean, even in the worst case, we're probably gonna see like what, 3 cards a day on average from here on out.
That's right. In fact, I believe that's what the Grand Tourney website you saw is, because they want the opportunity to vote on some cards and be able to see how things go.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys should absolutely check that website out and see as many updates as you can.
Sure. Oh my goodness, look at this. 2 lowly Squires in the opening hand with the Totem Golem.
Oh, the double Squire play. That's 2 2/2s on turn 2.
That's right. I don't think the Squires are feeling that lowly after they get buffed a couple times. They just become upgraded to 2 drops.
Well, in the last game, we saw the lowly Squire hit 4 attack, which is not often a breakpoint of a 1 attack creature.
Nope, not
anymore at least.
A year ago.
Yeah. There's a Fallen Hero again. The Fallen Hero again, giving your hero power 1 extra damage. I wonder how that works if a priest gets it. Does it heal a unit for 2 and then hit it for 1?
You know what? I feel like it has to do with similar to how the dynamic works with Arcanized Soul Priest. Like, it doesn't necessarily give, or not Arcanized Soul Priest. What's that card that that doesn't give you buff to hero damage if it restores health? For example, like Valen's Chosen doesn't increase the power of healing much. It only increases the damage you deal with like circle healing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like kind of like spell damage.
Yeah. So I think that's what it has to do with the hero power.
That's interesting. Maybe not. I'm curious, actually.
Well, we'll find out as time goes on, but the most important thing is now we can finally utilize it and shoot down the second lowly Squire.
Yeah, well, we know for sure it'll work with Hunters. I mean, Hunters have a hero power that does damage.
Yep.
Having a hero power that does the same amount +1 would probably work, I'd imagine. I'm sure it works with Shadow Form. Yep. Interesting stuff. Now, people don't regard the Steamwheel Sniper as that crazy of a card. It's not awful, but it's just that Hunter doesn't play that type of game.
Not yet.
But Mage does kind of play that type of game.
It can. Mage often has a lot of defensive builds that it can go for.
Here we see the Maiden of the Lake. Again, we talked about Turtle a little bit, but the Totem Golems happened, so we kind of lost track. The Maiden of the Lake, the new Turtle with the new ability of a 1-mana hero power. Again, usually to make this play work, the Maiden of the Lake often deals very well with the drops before it. As you can see, it'll kill the 3/2 very easily here. But you kind of have to play a big creature the following turn for your creature to kind of work and for you to maintain board control.
That's right, because then you start hitting the 4-attack minions, the 5-attack minions that you can't really compete with.
Exactly.
Duplicate on the Fallen Hero.
3 damage.
That's 3 damage hero power.
Those do stack.
And those do stack.
That's right.
So I'm just waiting for the montage of like having 6 of them on one board plus a Maiden of the Lake and just machine gunning for like 8
Well, you have to have the Koldara Drake too, right? So you have 5 of them, Koldara and the Maiden of the Lake.
Okay. So the maximum is 6 damage per hero power.
Right.
Okay. Still sounds pretty ridiculous if you think about it.
No, it's balanced.
It's totally balanced. Maiden of the Lake allows him to play Nexus Champion Sarad and draw a card,
and draw a spell with a hero power.
Yeah, I do like the idea of Fallen Hero also getting 3 damage and sniping the 2/3.
That's right. It's more of a play for board control, and it looks pretty fun. I'm hoping that works.
He also could just do the same thing with Frostbolt, but then he messed up the rest of this curve. So this turn is a little bit awkward. Some choices. Does Trump want to value more of a curve, or do he want us to value more of a board control? Because you can squeeze into hero power for 1, leaving you 1 more mana if you go for 2 Fallen Heroes.
Now, it's interesting that his deck has Acolyte of Pain. It kind of makes your hero power worse against your own creatures, which often is an asset in Mage.
Right. You don't want to kill your creatures too much. You want to enrage them by 1. You want to draw 1 card with 1 damage on Acolyte.
All right. Well, each player has their own Maiden of the Lake, and Frost Giant again. It's kind of very difficult to assess a deck that would work well with it, but it seems like if your deck will work well with Maiden of the Lake, you know, hero powering for 1 a turn is often a tempo play, where usually your hero power is not at all a tempo play. And if it is a 1-mana hero power, it's just so convenient just to pop it out all the time. And if you're doing that, well, Frost Giant's a good card.
Yeah, there's going to be instances similar to how if you had almost a full hand, you would tap with a Mountain Giant on if you had the Warlock class, so that you can make it slightly cheaper and fill out that 1 extra mana you have. There's going to be instances of that, especially because he has 2 Frost Giants. There's going to come an instance where he can tap his hero power and drop both of them for cheap.
All right. Well, Trump's still thinking about his options here. His hero power is still 1 mana. I believe he had 2 Maiden Lakes out at the same time, but again, the effect does not stack. You cannot have a 0-mana hero power from the cards that we know exist in the game to this point.
I wonder how long Trump's going to hold on to that Sarad. Now, it is one of the most appealing plays based off of its effect, but you know, at the same time, he can build the board reasonable and try to keep it safer so that Sarad can be a game-winning play. So every turn you can keep hero powering, draw cards, impact the board.
Right. So if you're winning by enough, it just gets out of control as it did last game. And Amaz with 2 Frost Giants here that now cost 5 mana apiece.
Yeah. Slowly but surely, we're climbing that ladder of making the Giants really cheap to play.
All right, it goes with 1. Frost Giants are really cool creatures in World of Warcraft. In Wrath of the Lich King, you often had to do quests with them, quests against them, and it was just very awesome to interact. That's one thing I really like about Hearthstone that I guess I haven't mentioned enough recently, that, you know, as a World of Warcraft player, it's so fun to relive some of the moments just a little bit here and there through the sounds, animations, and playstyle of the cards.
See what spell's being drawn here by Sarad. A demon
okay. Well,
a little awkward.
Well, maybe not. I mean, last game it would have been great.
Yeah, I guess the totems.
Yeah, if you start losing, it's suddenly an excellent card.
And there's no way to directly answer that Sarad, which is problematic because that means more cards are going to be drawn. The Thunderbluff Valiant was drawn, but there's no totems to really buff here.
Yeah. Well, it would work off of itself. I believe the Thunderbluff Valiant, if you play him and play a totem, the totem would be buffed after it's summoned.
Makes sense. Otherwise, you know, for 7 mana that you're investing, you're only getting 3/6
Right.
plus a couple of totems. It doesn't feel that powerful.
All right, looks like Amaz goes with the double totem play for the Draenei Totem Carver.
Yeah, make its own, you know, small mini giant, restore a little bit of health. Let's see here. This is one of those instances where maybe that Demon Wrath is actually pretty useful. What do you think?
Demon Wrath would allow him to trade somewhat favorably. If he wants to clear the board, he'd have to lose his Sarad, which doesn't seem like the best idea.
He already has Sarad and Maiden. Why not just go for...
Now he has 3 pings.
Spells. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
3 pings allows him to kill off some of these minions that are pretty big and help him trade up.
You know what we need right now? We need an Innervate.
Ooh, Innervate would be great. So you have 2 chances to try to get it. Eviscerate!
Oh.
Wow! I have no words to say. Maz is just absolutely disgusted with that outcome.
Yep.
But for us, it is our entertainment. I love it.
Trump goes for the freeze play again to try to solidify his position on the board. And right now it is solid. Amaz did not draw an answer for any of that.
Nope, he's got Lava Shock, but he's going to need a lot more lava in order to take this down.
Yeah, it needs a lot more lava than that. He is able to threaten a bigger board with the Giant, but in the last few turns, Amaz has lost board more and more each turn. And with both players playing kind of like steamroll cards that just work off of your hero power and combo the board, it seems like Trump is in a really good spot right now.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness. Blizzard with pings to clean up the board and freeze it. I think this is the deciding point. I commend Shaman for trying, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to turn around. Perfect.
I don't even think you need a polymorph. I think you just leave it frozen.
Yeah, why not? Why not head crack? I think that makes the most sense. Just go ahead and just combo him down. Yeah,
upgrade. I'm ready.
Because not enough face-to-face damage. I like it.
Yep.
Recycle. Now that's interesting. I think we might be able to see Recycle play for the first time on stream.
I think we've seen it once or twice, but not much more than that. Oh, there's a Coda, but again, you know, these cards are so good, but only if they don't die immediately, which they will.
Right, and this is the holy trio of the cards that were revealed. We have the Dragon, which allows you to ping as many times as you want for cheaper because of the Maiden, and you get spells every single time you use it.
Yeah, the icing on the cake is the Fallen Hero that we're missing. If there were a couple Fallen Heroes in play with a hero power doing 3 for 1 mana.
Yeah. You're correct there.
We can really see how much you can scale your hero power throughout Trump's games so far.
All right, well, I think it's time to see what else we can get here. I'm having a little bit too much fun with what some of these cards
unfortunately, Amaz is dead.
Yeah, exactly. You can just play some of the stuff out. Hellfire! But that kills off his own Sarada. So I guess we're going to keep that off limits.
I'm really hoping Trump goes for some BM play here.
Yep, I'm looking for
Otherwise, it's disappointing.
Head crack. I want him to upgrade for the win. Can we do that? Amaz yelling. Are you kidding me? No, you're not, Amaz. No, we are not. All right, well, looks like the conclusion of the game. Trump is going to be able to take that series and go on. And Mage is going to have to defeat the Hunter in the finals as Firebat, the world champion, awaits.